Welcome to Global Health and Wellness Practitioners YouTube channel, where we're giving exposure to great practitioners while educating and promoting comprehensive health and wellness globally. Today we're speaking to Melissa Bradley on finding freedom in your life from the inside out. So welcome, Melissa. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you start with sharing your story with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can also share, that I'm a coach, a life coach and a mentor and a guide, for women and helping them to remember who and what they truly are. Because there were so many times in my life that I was completely lost. I had no idea who I was and why I was here. And I was raised by beautiful parents. I had a beautiful family, a normal upbringing. And yet by the time I was a teenage girl, 15, I discovered alcohol and began drinking very large amounts of alcohol and chasing boys, chasing lots and lots and lots of boys. It was kind of like, will you love me? Will you love me? Will you love me? Right? I just so wanted to feel loved and wanted and desired, even as young as 15. So that kind of set the tone for my life, really. I was always looking outside of myself. I was always wanting to feel safe and secure in somebody else's company, in a partnership or with money. I worked really hard to get myself through college. It was challenging for me, but I did. And then I went into corporate. I wanted to feel safe in corporate. I wanted to feel safe with the amount of money I was making. I just always wanted to feel safe and okay in my skin, but I really didn't. I always I understand it now, but there was always this underlying program that was running the show, which was, I'm not enough. If anybody's ever heard of that one. And it was just a constant in my life. And it had me, again, continuing to drink very large amounts of alcohol every weekend. I partied like a rock star for like 25 years. And I worked corporate, during the weekdays. Like how I pulled it all off, I have no idea. I definitely had my angels and guides, with me. And I trust now that all of that was perfect, right? Everything that I needed to experience. Even at one point, I was driving across the desert by myself after I decided to stop drinking. And I asked God, I said, God, why did I have to go through all that? And God said, to get it out of your system, to do what you really came here to do. And I felt just this wave of, peace and love in my heart. So in the midst of all of that, I did, manage to get married, married an amazing man. And we had a lot of fun together. And so much fun that at one point we thought it would be fun to experiment with other couples. If you've ever heard of such a thing, it's called swinging. And so we kind of got into the swinging lifestyle together, and our marriage became really wild and crazy, quite honestly. And I ended up connecting with one of the people that we, exchanged energy with. And it became about a 2-year affair, I would call it. And yet my husband at the time allowed it. He said, you know what? I know he makes you happy. I just want you to be happy. So it became this really big, heavy dynamic for me to keep entertaining. And it started to weigh heavily on me, so much so that at one point I lost all the vision in my left eye. I couldn't even see. I could not see anymore. And I went to doctors asking them what was wrong. And they said, what kind of stress are you under? And I was in so much denial. I said, I'm not under any stress. What are you talking about? They're like, it's stress related. And I was like, no, it's not. I was in so much resistance. I was in so much fear. I was in so much embarrassment for the way that I was behaving. And I was just really trying to lie and to hide and to stuff everything deeper and deeper and deeper inside. And then we all have that pivotal wake up moment, right? There's that moment of like, oh my God, this is insane. And a dear friend of mine, Alex, had called me and she said, Melissa, how are you? I said, Alex, I'm fine. She said, no, really, like, how are you? I said, I'm fine, Alex. She said, and she dropped like an octave right in her voice. And she said, really, Melissa, how are you? And I just fell to the ground and completely broke open and started sobbing. I sobbed for probably almost 2 hours on the phone with her. And I told her everything that was going on. And thankfully, she had been through something similar. So she had no judgment of me. But from that moment forward, things really began to change and change quickly. So much so that my husband and I, we were together for 25 years. We decided to consciously uncouple. So we loved and adored each other. We were the best of friends, but we realized we weren't meant to be married any longer. And the divorce was probably one of the most amicable divorces on the planet. We're like, no, you have this. No, you have this. So it's and we continue to be dear friends until, well, we're still dear friends. He made his transition about 3.5 years ago. So yeah, at one point he said, we said we'd be married. We said we'd be together forever. He said it was just in a different way than we thought. And then I was like, wow, he really, knew the truth. And so much so that when I moved out of the house, he said, I'm so glad you're doing this because I could have never given you what you wanted. And at the time, it was hard to hear, after 25 years together. What do you mean you couldn't give me what I wanted? I wanted affection. I just so, wanted to be touched and wanted deep affection. But ultimately, I think he knew on a soul level, I really wanted to be in discovery of myself, of who and what I truly am. I was in relationship after relationship from the time I was 15. So I never really got to know who I was. So here I was at 42 and setting out on a whole new path, a whole new journey of discovering, who and what I truly am, seeking the spiritual path. And I found teacher after teacher, mentor after mentor, coach after coach, and I just kept going to the next level and shedding layers and bringing love in, and I just was doing the work, and eventually came into discovery that I really wanted to be a life coach and to be a guide for others. Once I found that peace in my heart, once I found love, once I found that freedom, so
now you're in Maui, and
I'm in Maui. Yeah. So that's a story too. I was living in Laguna Beach, California. I had a public relations and marketing business. I had a partner, and life appeared to be good and nice. And yet everything was cracking open again in my life. It was the next level of cracking open and letting go. So my boyfriend at the time, we had broken up. My business was all evaporating. I was going through Kundalini yoga teacher training, and my consciousness was changing so fast. I knew I didn't want to do the work anymore, but I loved my clients, but they all eventually let me go. Within a couple months, I went from 6 figures to 0 figures. So that was, a big letting go of money. And I felt a purpose in the work I was doing. So all of that was unraveling. I called a friend, it's phone a friend thing, right? And I was like, can I come over to Maui and visit you? I got a lot going on right now. She said, come on over. So I bought a ticket. And that first night, I had been visiting Maui for 30 years, never imagined living here. But that night, I knew I was home. Everything in me, this wave of peace just washed over me. I said, okay. So I eventually bought a one-way ticket to Maui, let everything go that I had, and just brought over a couple suitcases, and ended up creating a whole new life here. That was about 7 years ago. And the partner that I broke up with at the time, Mark, he ended up meeting up with me here through some magic and miracles, and he's been here for now for 6 years. So yeah, we have a beautiful life here. He's a coach as well. So we do work together as well as individually. And
so
you touch back, it's like, wow, my life is, yeah.
So now your passion and what fills you is helping other women discover who they are from the inside out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I was always looking, like I said, outside of myself, from the time I was 15. It's just an age that I happen to remember. I was grasping, for a boy to like me or want me or need me or any of that, or grasping for money. I was always thinking that something outside of me was the thing. And then once you realize that really ultimately you are, your own universe, right? That you have everything within you. Kundalini yoga was really foundational for me in discovering, my true essence and my true nature, helping me to let go and shed away, strip away the programming and the conditioning, and really return to my true essence, as well as some life coaching training that I went through extensively. And so, yeah, now I get to feel comfortable, in my own skin. I feel more than enough. I feel, loved and worthy and held, and everything is generated and activated, from within me. So, yeah.
The freedom comes from inside, not our situations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that was the thing. I spent so much of my life in suppression, which is what I would call it. I was always stuffing down my feelings, my emotions, the thoughts. I didn't think it was safe to say exactly what was going on for me. So in my first marriage, I experienced a lot of pain and a lot of suffering because I did not know how to express myself. And if we're suppressing things and stuffing them down, we feel far from free. We're being run and controlled, by programs of fear and not enoughness, right? So like I said, I had many coaches, many mentors that supported with that, and also being in a new partnership with a partner who's a coach. He really, every time I'd want to stuff things down and suppress it, he would be like, "Not on my watch," and so he was incredibly patient with me, and he had the skills and the knowledge and the tools to support me with coming out of that shell, if you will. So now it's like my greatest passion, my greatest joy to help women to connect with their heart and their throat chakra and their true expression, which is freedom. When we don't express, we're not free. We're shutting things down. When we express ourselves, no matter what it is, even if it gets a little messy, so much better out than in, as Shrek says. That's like one of my main mantras, is better out than in, always, 100% of the time, no matter what. It's always better out than in. So I watch it all the time in my practice, the women that I work with. When they have a safe space to go to, that is a space of non-judgment and compassion and love, I've had clients come in and express things that they've been stuffing down and holding on to for years, that they thought was shameful, that they could never share with anybody. But once they share it, I watch the freedom come back, the freedom come back online. They're feeling free. They're feeling free. They're feeling free. And then they're like, well, what else is possible? I mean, that's what went on for me once I began expressing myself and setting myself free from everywhere I gave my power away. And for most of us, we do give our power away. We give our power away to doctors, to lawyers, to government, to parents, to partners, to children. We're just constantly giving our power away. So once we receive ourselves, right, and receive our true freedom and activate it fully and know how to express it, we know that we can move ourselves through anything. Like you, me, we can move ourselves through anything. And to me, that is true freedom. So when we're willing to express it no matter what, we feel so much more life force. We feel so much more awake and so much more alive. And for me, that's where it's at, right? Is feeling awake and feeling alive. Like anything and everything is possible, because it is when we're in our true nature, when we're in our true freedom.
And right, the truth is there no matter what. So if it's underlying and not being said, it's still there, and that just creates confusion.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a saying that's been around for a long time, is that the truth shall always set you free, right? So what if the truth shall always set you free? So all you need do is look for your truth, right? And express it. And then in that We're always free. We're always free.
Thank you, Melissa, for sharing. That was beautiful and inspiring. I hope somebody got something from this. I know somebody did somewhere. So from our hearts to yours, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next show.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.